Guys, how's it going? Eli here, back with another video where today we're going to be having a fun topic for today in regards to me ranking what I think are the 5 worst Pokemon sets of all time. And this is in a specific order. I know a lot of the times I don't do a specific order, but this time I wanted to put it in order. And I think some of it might be controversial, some of it might not be. We'll see. But of course, before we jump into that topic, one thing got to get out of the way, weekly giveaways. And since Astral is the newest set, Astral are the packs we're going to be giving away. So drum roll for the 3 winners, because we give away a full booster box each and every week, split amongst 3 people. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed and leave a like, comment down below on any of the pre-recorded videos we post each and every week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And drum roll for these 3 winners are refried beans. I don't know why it's spread refridge. Michael, David Z, and then James W. Shout out to you 3 for winning the giveaway. As always, make sure if you want to claim it, just email me, Discord me. Discord me is probably the best way of going about it. And then I'll make sure to ship out your packs hopefully within the next couple of days after you've reached out to me and we've gotten through the verification process. So I am a little delayed on the prior packs because I was been super swamped these past couple days since the release of the new set. So I do apologize for that. For those people that are still waiting for theirs, don't worry, you'll receive yours soon. But now that we got that out of the way, it's time for a very fun and exciting topic where we're going to be ranking top 5 worst Pokemon sets of all time. Of course, this is only opinion based. There's no factual to this. In all honesty, too, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible and as non-biased as possible, and you'll actually see that in my ranking, I feel. I could be wrong, but I poke fun at a lot of the sets, I would say, from each era. So jumping into number 5, though, here's where it gets real controversial out the gate. That's right, Base Set 2. I think Base Set 2 is ranked 5 as one of the worst Pokemon sets, that they've ever made. And you might say to yourself, Eli, how could you say that? Base Set is one of the best, eras ever. WotC era, everything about WotC is great. But the reason why I hate Base Set so much, or I shouldn't say I hate it, but I think it's such a bad set, is literally the difference between Base Set 1 or Unlimited versus Base Set 2, and comparing it to Shadowless and the first edition and all that, is it has a different icon on the right. I don't know if you guys can kind of see it. Let's click on the Onyx. You can see there's a little bit different of an icon. And then outside of that as well, it also includes jungle Pokemon in the set as well. I don't think it includes Fossil. Someone wants to, they can correct me, but it includes some of the Pokemon from jungle. It's obviously one of those things where people could make the argument, say, Eli, well, it was the early stages of Pokemon and they wanted to make as many, print variations of these Pokemon easily accessible. But in my mind, when we go and take a look at the actual ordering of when the sets came out, you can see that it was Base Set Shadowless, Base Set First Edition, then Base Set, then Jungle, then Fossil, then Base Set 2. For me, it felt like they were going backwards on it. Could be wrong, could be a hot take, but I just feel like everyone looks at the original series of WotC era and they think it's gold and you can't touch any of it. There's no criticism for it, but I think there's an argument to be made that Base Set 2 is not a good set, considering it was literally just a reprint set of a bunch of older cards and there wasn't anything special. If you at least take a look at Legendary Treasures, or sorry, the Legendary Collection series, at least they had that artwork of the fireworks. And I know some people didn't like that, but I think that's at least unique if you're going to do reprints of that. But for me, Base Set 2 is just another way for them to throw out some of the cards for competitive viability purposes, because they knew that, Unlimited as well as Base Set First Edition Shadowless was starting to get more expensive. So I understand why they did that print. It was mainly for, competitive play, but in regards to ranking it, I don't think that gives it some leeway in regards to being a terrible set. One thing I do want to mention, though, outside of Base Set 2 and some of the other 4 I have on the list, I'm going to make sure that I do not mention sets such as, the Detective Pikachus, because those sets I feel like are, they're specialty sets that are designed around movies and promos and stuff. So I think it's unfair for me to rank those ones so poorly, or McDonald's sets or just those specialty promo sets. So for that reason, I'm gonna leave him off the list. So if you feel like, wow, how did you not rank Detective Pikachu on the top 5? Because trust me, I think it's a terrible set, but I want to give it a break because it's not your, typical Pokemon set that you usually have, in this kind of, standard format, I guess you can say, or just standard Pokemon print. But number 4. Crimson Invasion. I mean, come on, guys. You knew this set was going to be up here. The reason why I actually put it number 4, which some people might think is too low, is honestly because it at least has a Gyarados Rainbow on it and a couple of a couple of gold energies. It's not the worst set of all time, obviously, but one theme that I will say, and maybe this is an interesting theme and a theme of bias, but one of the things you'll notice about a lot of my top 5 sets is they all center around specifically only having Pokemon in their regions, right? So Crimson Invasion, for example, is part of mainly the Sun and Moon region. It's a lot of just these Sun and Moon cards. Now, if you're someone who's a fan of Sun and Moon, then obviously you're going to say, well, I love all these Sun and Moon, Ultra Beast designs. I think they're gorgeous. But if you're someone who's not a fan of Sun and Moon, and you're just, you like Gyarados because Gyarados is a popular Pokemon. I love Gyarados. Outside of that, the set's not really doing much for you. It's very lackluster. It has very, little good pulls. It's literally Gyarados or bust. It's a terrible set, in my opinion, and there's a reason why the prices on it for the longest time have been so affordable, which, once again, just goes to the point of why I think this is such a bad set, and the theme that we're going to see is it just doesn't have other, really strong, as we like to call them, anchor cards. And I know that it sounds unpopular to say that, like, Eli, I'm tired of all the Charizards. It doesn't have to be a Charizard. It could have had a Rayquaza in it. It could have had, a Groudon Kyogre in it. It could have had, a Mew, a Mewtwo. It could have had just any of these other popular cards. Eevee, it could have had more to it that would have given it a little bit more strength. And Gyarados, don't get me wrong, Gyarados was a great add to it, but they could have given just, they couldn't have done just more than Gyarados. They should have done more than just that. So, of course, my personal opinion, but not the biggest fan of Crimson. And here's where we get into the non-biased part, or at least I would consider to be non-biased. For those people that know me, I'm a huge Diamond and Pearl fan, and yes, I rank Diamond and Pearl base set as the 3rd worst Pokemon set of all time. I know it sounds shocking. You're like, Eli, you're such a huge Diamond and Pearl fan. Why would you rank it? Considering it is one of my favorite sets, but it's one of my favorite sets for the nostalgic purpose, for the purpose of I'm a huge Gen 4 fan. If you're someone who's not a huge Gen 4 fan, you take a look at the set, and when you say to yourself, it's got a lackluster amount of rares you can pull. It literally just has the base 3 starters. You don't care about base 3 starters. You don't care at all. Oh, look, we've got a regular rare, not a holo rare, a regular rare of Gengar. And then all your standard holos are straight up just holos from, the Gen 4 era. And not to mention, too, the Infernape, the Infernape, Torterran, and Polion holo, those are all acquired outside of the game, or outside of the set itself. You can acquire them in the theme decks. So the rarity on these cards, let alone the overall just pulls on what you could get, it's very lackluster, Look at it's just Gen 4 cards. It's all Gen 4. And as someone who's a huge Gen 4 fan, I love it. But if you're someone who's not a huge Gen 4 fan, you don't even start seeing any sort of holo rares up until Shiftry. And Shiftry is not a standalone Pokemon that people are going crazy over. So staying once again on theme from what I was talking about with Crimson Invasion, why Crimson Invasion was so bad. It focused too specifically to a lot of the Sun and Moon era. Base set, understandably, it is base set, so it's going to focus on that. But even base set, if you take Sword and Shield, for example, it even had a Lapras, Rainbow. And it had a couple of other desirable cards in it. You look at some of the other base sets. Don't get me wrong. I know most base sets are not going to be the best. But let's just try and take a look at some other base sets and try and just do a comparison, right? So we go Sword and Shield base set, for example. We can say, obviously, most base sets are usually lackluster. What do we think about this one? Marnie. Although it's, not a card that's, a character, anchor from other sets, it is still a very desirable card because Marnie's a really cool full art character. You've got a Snorlax. People do like Snorlax. It is one of those anchor cards from other sets. It's got a Lapras. So it has at least three or more cards that I would say that's going for it. And especially considering it is a base set card, or sorry, it is a base set. Sorry, that sounds kind of confusing, because obviously you have Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, and all these other base set kind of sets, which is just the first one, and they're just rolling out an introduction. It does a pretty solid job, because most base sets are pretty crappy. I mean, most of them, when you really think about it, the only base set that really gets any sort of love is base set first edition and the original base set, for obvious reasons. But you take base set for most other sets, they perform really weak, I mean, we take a look at just Sun and Moon base set, for example. Sure, it has the Umbreon and the Espeon, which is what, like I said before, gives it more value to it, because it does have those evolutions. It does have a Lily. But outside of that, also has Rainbow Lapras. Outside of that, not super crazy. But that's why, once again, you talk about Sword and Shield base set, you talk about Sun and Moon base set. They at least have other characters that are going to bring in and give it a little bit of value, versus if we go back and take a look at, once again, base set for the Diamond and Pearl era, it does not have any of that within it. So I give it, third worst set of all time. Maybe I'm missing a couple of other bad sets that we can give honorable mentions for, but this is one of the first ones that came to my mind on, man, this set really, if you look at it and take your fundamental biases out of being such a Gen 4 fan, you really look and say to yourself, it's kind of a weak set compared to a lot of the other base sets from XY era, Sun and Moon era, and Sword and Shield era, and going on. Next up, you have, who would have guessed it, ranked number 2, personal opinion, of course, Steam Siege. Steam Siege, once again, I would say this one follows a little bit of a different theme. And what do I mean by that is, it follows a little bit of a different theme because it does at least have a couple of cards that are, quote unquote desirable, but I would say that these cards are not super strong anchor cards. Like when you think of Steelix and a Gardevoir, although people do tend to like those cards, once again, not strong, anchors. So maybe they do follow the same theme, and I should say that because when you look at the main polls, you've got Volcarona, which is once again an XY era card. You've got Magearna, which is once again a XY era card. And even outside of those, you've got a bunch of break cards that were not extremely desirable. People were not the biggest fan of break cards. And literally, what else do you have for rares? That's kind of it. It's just those 4 characters. So it's very lackluster in its amount of pulls. It's very lackluster in the pulls that you can get. So Steam Siege, I mean, it makes Crimson Invasion look like a good set, which is crazy to think. Just based on the fact that it just is so underwhelming, right? Because I don't know many people that are huge fans of Volcarona. And the fact that, once again, there's just so much to be left with. Like, at least with Diamond and Pearl, right? Even if you're not a Gen 4 fan, you can still pull holos outside of the base 3 that you can find some value in. Versus with Steam Siege, all these holos are worth, like, crap. They're literally worth nothing. So, and maybe it's just because of the printing differences, but, base set was printed a decent amount for Diamond and Pearl. It's not, Diamond and Pearl, though it's an underprinted era, it's one of the more printed ones because it is a base set. So, just a really, really underwhelming, to say the least, when you take a look at Steam Siege. Definitely disappointing, but if we want to point something out from an investment perspective, look at how much it's going for right now. You'll probably find it for cheaper at around $230, $240 if I were to guess, maybe even less. But that just goes to show you that even these terrible performing sets will still do well over time, just because people like to collect a lot of booster boxes and other items. So including like the Elite Trainer box, which I gotta imagine is probably not going for $276. It's probably going for cheaper, but still, just goes to show you the collectability of it all, even for sets that are so terrible, like absolutely atrocious sets. So definitely something, I would say it's just very lackluster, just not good at all. So, but last and literally least, my most hated set, and for those people that saw me talk about this on the live stream, because people were asking me some of my least favorite sets of all time, I went off on this one. This one is I cannot stand this set. Hate it. And this is coming from someone who grew up in, my favorite eras were EX era, Black and White era, Diamond and Pearl era. So the fact that, two of my favorite eras are up here and they're getting bashed. Yes, it is Emerging Powers from Black and White. The worst set of all time. I cannot stand this set. This set is terrible. It is an atrocity that these packs are going for so much. I swear they better be going for 30 to 35 if you can find them cheap. It's ridiculous how terrible this set is. When you take a look at, let's say, base set, for example, right? Before we jump into it, let's just take a look at base set Black and White. So what did base set Black and White do? It introduced full arts for the first time. And if you look at the designs of these legendaries, Zekrom and Reshiram, gorgeous cards. Gorgeous cards. Absolutely love the design of this. It has a secret rare Pikachu, which is really cool. Sure, it has holos, of like Emboar, Reshiram, Seviper, Zekrom, Samurott. And if you're not a big fan of Gen 5, then obviously I can see your disdain for this set, and maybe it'd be an argument for one of the top 10, top 15 worst sets. But considering the fact that it was the first to introduce such gorgeous card designs as well as having that Pikachu secret rare, I think that it gives it a little bit of leeway. Now, take away the gorgeous art designs and the secret rare Pikachu, and what are you left with? You are left with Emerging Powers. The set that comes with Thundurus, Tornadus, some of the most, don't get me wrong, they're not terrible in regards to legendary designs, but considering the fact that these cards, both of these, are the two best cards that you can get, and everything else is, the three, Virizion, Terrakion, and Cobalion as your three other holos, like a Gothitelle and Thundurus and Tornadus. Dude, there is nothing in this set. And this once again goes back to the theme of it's centered around all Gen 5 Pokemon. I mean, literally, it is centered around purely Gen 5 Pokemon. If we look at this entire set as a whole, I'm not even seeing Pokemon that are not in Gen 5 as we go through. They're all Gen 5 Pokemon. And so if you're telling me where's the crisscross between at least having, Steam Siege, although it's terrible, I gotta give it a Gardevoir. Diamond and Pearl, obviously very lackluster set, but at least it has some other desirable cards that people could want, like a Snorlax, like a Gengar, like some other holos that people like, and it still has at least the 3 level X's. Not obviously the most desirable, but it has a little bit more over Emerging Powers. Crimson Invasion at least has the Gyarados, it has the Gold Water Energy, a couple more items like Rainbow Rares to be desired of, even if they're not the most favorite of. There's still more pulls that you can get. And then if you take, once again, base set, although don't get me wrong, I'm giving it a lot of crap because of the design around the set, which is it's literally just straight up a reprint set. So it gives little value to it. I mean, it still has pulls that are to be desired in it, even if they're not very much nostalgically, or even if they are very much nostalgically driven, based off of, Fossil and base set first edition and so on. With Emerging Powers, it has none of that. It has literally none of that. And don't get me wrong, I like Gen 5. I'm a huge Gen 5 fan, but I know that there's a lot of people that hate Gen 5, and I know that there is a lackluster in regards to the main pulls in this set. And I think it's an atrocity that these packs, I actually do want to see what Emerging Powers booster packs are going for, because if they are going for 50, this is ridiculous in my opinion. You can probably get them for cheaper if you do buy a booster box's worth. We can try and figure it out. But yeah, no, there's no shot they're selling for that much. Let's just take a look at some of the recently sold listings. I know some people might want to skip this part of the video, but for me personally, $45 is what they're selling for. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. Let's take a look at the booster box listings and see if we can find them for at least cheaper. Obviously, this is a little crossed out, so we might have to look and see what 130 point says for it. Okay, you got one that sold for 1,080. That sounds about right. 1,375.
That one seems like a fluke sale, considering the fact that it sold for that much. I almost gotta wonder. We'll do a 130 point of it, and then we'll exit out. But yeah, I mean, this set is just atrocious. The fact of the desirability of the set is just so low. Like, I don't know of many people that get extremely excited about Tornadius and Thundurus. So just absolutely terrible set. So like I said, at the end of the day, this is my personal opinion. I know this is a very opinion based video. 1680, bro, that sold literally 4 days ago for that much. That's credible to me that someone paid that much. I mean, let's just say that you could probably find it for cheaper offsite. So let's say that you're buying it for 1400, right? We'll say 1400. You divide that by 36. You're paying about, whoopsie, didn't correct. 1400 divided by 36. You're paying about 38 to 88, 39, 40 bucks. I think that's an atrocity that they're going for that much. But once again, this goes to the main point when it comes to Pokemon investing. Scarcity and demand, man. People are willing to pay what I think is a ridiculous price for such a terrible set. So once again, going back, a lot of themes of centered around only Pokemon within that era. There isn't a lot of love to be given around in other eras because they're trying to just force feed you the cards from the Gen 5, the Gen 6, the Gen 7, the Gen 4, and of course the Gen 1 just reprints. So those are, my sets that I don't like for those reasons. It seems as if, prices on Steam Siege, prices on Emerging Powers, prices on Diamond and Pearl base set. There's a reason a lot of these, and I can keep going, but there's a reason a lot of these are the lowest priced ones typically within the set. Obviously, you've got scarcity and time to play certain factors on why they've gone up over time. But there is a theme with all 5 of them in regards to unoriginality, just really trying to push their generations and respectable Pokemon, and for that reason, just not the biggest fan. And maybe I'm giving a little too much crap to base set, but because it was the only era of its time. But if you literally look the sets that followed shortly after it, you had Team Rocket, which was one of my favorite sets, Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge. I absolutely love the set design. I mean, let's just take a look at Gym Heroes, which I would say, personally speaking, this might sound controversial, of the 3 that I just listed, it's my least favorite one. But, I love the fact that they did bring in the gym leaders into it. I think it's absolutely really cool that they brought those kind of designs to cards. I feel like during that time, it was pretty innovative. I mean, you talk about Blaine's Charizard design as well. Now that we're getting into Gym Challenge, you talk about, Rocket's Mewtwo, Erica's Venusaur. It at least gave, even though it's a lot of the same Pokemon, it gave a lot of innovation in regards to how they design the cards. Team Rocket did that as well with Rocket Pokemon. Fossil and Jungle obviously were introducing Pokemon outside of what was in base set. Base set 2 was, like I said, it was literally just a reprint set. So very lackluster. I feel like I have to defend my argument a lot on this one for obvious reasons, but because there's people that are probably going to have pitchforks for this one. But but yeah, no, I'm going to stand by that and say there's just not a lot to be desired from this. And there's a reason why. I mean, the packs on these, base set 2, obviously it had different printing. It's not going to be as affordable or as desirable, it's not going to be as expensive or as desirable as some of the other ones, because it does have that difference of printing, which makes a big difference for some people. So, but controversial pick none the least. But as far as it goes, that's it for my top 5 picks. I'm not going to do a wrap up. You can just go through and just watch it yourself if you want to kind of see what the 5 are. So, but yeah, hopefully not too controversial a video. You guys asked for it, so my opinion, I tried being unbiased as much as I could about it. As someone whose favorite generations are Gen 1 through 5, the fact that 3 out of 5 of my favorite generations are up here just still goes, I think it should still go to show you that there's just a lot of nostalgia
that's driven behind love and desire for these sets. But as far as it goes, that is all for today's video. As always, you want to enter into our weekly giveaways. Leave a like, comment down below, be subscribed to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded videos for you to like and comment each and every week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can comment and like on each one of those. That allows you for multiple entries. And then, of course, 3 winners, each receiving 12 Astro Radiance booster packs. Ooh, don't want to mess that up. So multiple opportunities to win and multiple opportunities to enter. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Wednesday. Peace.